She cried alone on a park bench until he stopped. It was one of those crisp autumn afternoons in a small town just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. The kind of day where the leaves painted the ground in shades of amber and crimson, and the air carried a gentle chill that made you pull your sweater a little tighter. In the heart of the town's park, where kids laughed on swings and couples strolled hand in hand, sat Ellen Harper. She was 62, though she felt older that day, her shoulders hunched on a weathered park bench, her face buried in her hands. Tears slipped through her fingers, quiet but heavy, like they'd been held back for too long. Ellen wasn't one for public displays. She'd always been the steady honor raising 2 kids through lean years, keeping a tidy home even when her husband, Tom, lost his job at the mill. She'd worked as a receptionist for 30 years at the same dental office, smiling through every patient's complaint, every late bill, every long shift. But today, the weight of it all had caught up with her. It wasn't just one thing, it never is it? It was the slow drip of loss and worry that had finally overflowed. Her daughter, Sarah, had moved across the country to Seattle last year, chasing a tech job and a new life. Ellen was proud, but the distance stung. Phone calls weren't the same as Sunday dinners. Then there was Tom's diagnosis early stage Parkinson's. The doctor said they caught it soon enough, but the word itself felt like a boulder dropped into their quiet life. Medical bills were piling up, and the dental office had let her go 6 months ago, saying they needed someone tech-savvy for the new system. At 62, Ellen didn't know how to start over. She'd spent the morning at the unemployment office, filling out forms that made her feel small, like she was begging for scraps. And now, here she was, alone on this bench, crying in a park full of people who didn't seem to notice. Have you ever felt invisible even in a crowded room, or in Ellen's case, a crowded park? It's like the world keeps moving, laughing, living, while you're stuck in a bubble of your own hurt. That's where Ellen was, her gray scarf damp with tears, when she heard a soft voice. "Ma'am, you okay?" Ellen startled, wiping her face quickly, embarrassed to be seen like this. She looked up to find a man standing a few feet away, holding a battered leather satchel. He was maybe in his late 50s, with a kind face weathered by years of sun, his flannel shirt tucked neatly into jeans. He had a thermos in one hand, and his eyes held a quiet concern, like he wasn't sure if he was intruding. "I'm fine," Ellen said, her voice shaky. "Just having a moment." The man nodded, like he understood moments like that. "Mind if I sit?" He gestured to the other end of the bench. "I could use a rest myself." Ellen hesitated. She didn't want company, not really, but something about his gentle tone made her nod. "Sure." He sat down, leaving plenty of space between them, and unscrewed the cap of his thermos. The faint smell of coffee drifted over. "Name's Daniel," he said, pouring a little into the cap. "I walk through this park every day on my way home from the community center. Never seen someone cry so quietly before." Ellen gave a small, bitter laugh. Didn't mean to make a scene. "You're not," Daniel said simply. "But you looked like you could use someone to notice." That hit her harder than she expected. She wiped her eyes again, clutching her purse in her lap. "It's just been a lot lately." Daniel nodded, sipping his coffee. He didn't push, didn't ask for details. Instead, he looked out at the park, where a young girl was chasing a dog across the grass. "Life's funny, isn't it? One day you're cruising along, and the next, it feels like the ground's gone out from under you." Ellen glanced at him, surprised by how easily he'd put words to her feelings. "Yeah," she said softly, "exactly like that." They sat in silence for a moment, the kind of silence that didn't feel heavy. Just 2 people sharing a bench, watching the world go by. Ellen's tears had slowed, though her chest still ached. "You don't have to tell me what's wrong," Daniel said after a while, "but I'm a good listener if you want." Ellen wasn't sure why she started talking. Maybe it was his calm voice, or maybe she just needed to let it out. "I lost my job," she said, her words tumbling out. "After 30 years, they said I wasn't modern enough. My husband's sick and we're drowning in bills. My daughter's so far away and I don't know how to keep going." Daniel listened, his face steady, not a trace of judgment. When she finished, he took a slow breath. "That's a heavy load, Ellen. I'm sorry." She shrugged, embarrassed again. "Everyone's got problems." "Sure," he said, "but that doesn't make yours any lighter." He paused, then reached into his satchel and pulled out a small notebook, flipping it open to a blank page. "You said you worked at a dental office, right? You good with people?" Ellen frowned, unsure where this was going. "I guess. I handled patients, scheduled appointments, that kind of thing." Daniel scribbled something in his notebook. "The community center where I volunteer, we're always looking for folks who can connect with people. It's not fancy work, but it's steady. Front desk, organizing events, helping folks feel welcome." "You'd be good at it, I bet." Ellen blinked, caught off guard. I don't know. I'm not trained for that." "Don't need to be," Daniel said, tearing out the page and handing it to her. It had a name, Marjorie, and a phone number. "Marjorie runs the place. Tell her Daniel sent you. She's tough, but she's fair, and she's got a soft spot for people who've been through the ringer." Ellen stared at the paper, her fingers trembling slightly. "Why are you doing this? You don't even know me." Daniel smiled, a little sad, a little warm. "Few years back, I was the one sitting on a bench like this. Lost my wife to cancer, lost my job not long after. Felt like the world didn't care. Then a stranger stopped and gave me a chance. Got me volunteering at the center, gave me a purpose again. I'm just passing it on." Ellen's throat tightened, and she looked down at the paper in her hand. It was such a small thing, a phone number on a scrap of paper, but it felt like a lifeline. "Thank you," she whispered. "Don't thank me yet," Daniel said, standing up and slinging his satchel over his shoulder. "Call Marjorie. See what happens." He tipped his thermos to her, like a little salute, and started to walk away. Then he paused and turned back. "Oh, and Ellen? You're not invisible. Not today." She watched him go, his flannel shirt fading into the crowd. For the first time that day, she felt a flicker of something hope, maybe, or at least the possibility of it. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to The Kind Story where kindness lives on. Ellen tucked the paper into her purse and sat there a little longer, watching the leaves fall. The park wasn't so loud anymore, or maybe she just didn't feel so alone in it. When she got home that evening, she pulled out her phone and dialed Marjorie's number. Her hands shook, but her voice was steady. "Hi, Marjorie. My name's Ellen Harper. Daniel sent me." 2 weeks later, Ellen was behind the front desk at the community center, greeting people with a smile she hadn't worn in months. It wasn't a big job answering phones, signing up folks for classes, keeping the schedule straight, but it was enough. Enough to pay a bill or two. Enough to make her feel useful again. Enough to remind her that even on the darkest days, kindness could find you, like a stranger stopping by a park bench. And every now and then, when she saw Daniel passing through the center with his thermos and his satchel, she'd catch his eye and nod. No words needed. Just a quiet understanding that sometimes the smallest gesture can change everything. This story was originally written for the Kind Story YouTube channel. It is a unique and creative work, not copied from any other source. While we may use AI tools to assist with formatting or narration, every story is carefully crafted by human writers to reflect real emotions, values, and experiences.